Hello, my name is Evie Cannell, and today I'm going to be teaching you about ocean acidification. So what is ocean acidification? This is the process that is currently happening in our oceans. As we create more and more CO2, whether it be by car exhaust or factories producing lots of CO2, it is entering into our atmosphere and then into our oceans, and as a result, it is decreasing the pH and making it more acidic. It is happening in the following way. So as you can see, we have CO2 here in the atmosphere, which then enters into the ocean and reacts with the H2O molecules to become carbonic acid. This carbonic acid can then dissociate into H plus and HCO3 minus, or bicarbonate, and can further dissociate into two H plus molecules and carbonate. The increased number of hydrogen ions decreases the pH. This is because pH is a factor of the amount of hydrogen ions present. The more there are, the more acidic the water becomes. Now, these reactions are reversible, and as the pH decreases, it will want to go back to these, which means that it needs more carbonate. In order to do this, it takes carbonate away from organisms such as clams, crabs, and corals, and becomes part of this chain as the water becomes more and more acidic. As you can imagine, this is a big problem for shelled creatures, and particularly those that live on reefs. In order to demonstrate this, I conducted an experiment by adding different types of shells into white vinegar. As you can see here, I'm adding in clammed shells called arcs and pieces of sand dollar, which is from the phylum Echinodermata. Once added into the vinegar, they begin to immediately react and dissolve as the carbonate is being pulled out of them. All of these different shells dissolved at different rates, but dissolved nonetheless. You can see 1 hour later, the sand dollar shells are very degraded, as well as we added in a barnacle, it's beginning to degrade as well. After 7 hours, the sand dollars are pretty much gone. One of the arc shells is gone. The other one has many holes eroded through it. The barnacle, the oyster is dissolving much more slowly, but it is still dissolving. After 18 hours, the sand dollar shells are gone, and there's pretty much nothing left except for the oyster and a bit of barnacle. Now, the oyster was very thick, so it was difficult for the acid that was in there to be able to dissolve all of it, but you can see that this hole became larger and it lost a lot of color. Now you may be saying to me, Evie, those aren't corals, maybe it wouldn't happen the same way for them. Well, in order to show that that is not the case, I also tested what would happen if you put coral skeletons into white vinegar, and I will let you listen to it. So over the course of an hour, we allowed the coral skeleton to dissolve. As you can see, the water becomes cloudier and cloudier as both the carbonate is pulled out of the coral skeleton, as well as other various debris that was trapped. You can see lots of bubbles forming as well. So after that, we let it sit for a while, and this is what happened when we took it out of the water, or out of the vinegar. So you can see here that the coral skeleton itself has greatly decreased in size, and it became much more fragile. If you look at my fingers, you can see that pieces of the coral skeleton are breaking off into my hands. And then if we look here at the vinegar itself, you can see lots of cloudiness from debris coming out of the coral skeleton, particularly here and here, as well as just murkiness from the carbonate being pulled out and bonding with the vinegar to make itself not as acidic. You can also see the oyster shell here. We pulled it out. You can see it has lost a lot of its color, and this hole has become a lot bigger. If we had put it in a higher quantity of vinegar, it probably would have dissolved completely itself. So, what can you do to help? I know that it can be a very daunting process to think of how you can help to stop this large problem, but there are things that you can do. You need to start recycling more products, reduce the waste that you produce, cut down on your own carbon footprint, whether this means by walking to work or walking to the bus, using group transportation, riding your bicycle, um, discouraging yourself and family members from purchasing or supporting companies that are highly polluting, and write to your congressman asking him to implement more environmentally friendly regulations. I know that this process might not seem like it's something that's going to affect you, but if we lose these precious invertebrates, then that is a loss of the food for the fish, and a lot of people rely on fish as a primary protein source. So please do what you can, share this information, and thank you for watching.